survey is out there, and the funding matching test is live. I'll be adding your net IDs to that site so that I can let you guys try the test and give your feedback in the survey as well as soon as I receive those from the office. Otherwise, we're just working on updating our computer systems, and that's about it.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do we have in our current budget for this?
Just being ready for that question until in business. So it's not going to work with the budget.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, are you having something on that as well?
It's more of an internal system, so the rest of the team know about it, but right now,
Has the women's hockey team returned their $2,000 to kick out earlier this semester yet?
yes.
They have.
Are there any other questions for the comptroller? Comptroller, okay, next we move into the report of the Chief of Staff. Chief of Staff Shea. Oh. Membership Coordinator Shudo will be
I'm Brittany Chabot, the membership coordinator for USG. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Shea tonight, who cannot be here. We have a quick report. Important thing, the debate is tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. in the Student Union North lobby. So come to the debate, prepare questions, and encourage others to attend. This is a really, really important event. If you can't go, WHUS is broadcasting the debate live, so you can live tweet your questions to @USG_UConn, #UCDebate. So I'll send out another email tonight reminding you all about that. But I'll be monitoring the live feed as it goes on, so your questions will be answered. The second thing is Farm for Beer. I mentioned this in my email last night, but this is a really, really important and really fun event that we're doing at late night. Next Friday, March 8th from 9 to 11 p.m. So what I need you all to do is respond to that doodle. I only got one response, but we need at least 5 to 10 people at the table at all times. And I don't want it to be just exec. Senators should be there too, because this is a great time to reach out to your constituents, because this is the reason you're in this position. Otherwise, have a good set.
Are there any questions for the membership coordinator? Thank you, membership coordinator Shudo. Next we move into report of the legislature. Just a couple of things. I'm still trying to get in with David, who's the director of the First Year Experience Program, to talk about the IMCD initiative. He's been a little unresponsive of late, so I'm just going to shoot him another email and see if I can get in with him at some point in the week, some point before caucus. And the other thing is, I believe, Senator Meditti, I never recognized you, but I guess you're working on the laundry initiative along with Senator Alvarez, and it looks like we're making some progress on that, so we'll be able to get in with Logan, the director of the Department of Res Life, at some point, hopefully early, to talk about our laundry system. But other than that, nothing else to report. Does anybody have any questions? Next, we move into report of the judiciary. Justice Bruin is delivering the report.
Hey folks, first off, personal note, great to see so many guys here. I know most of y'all are here for, money reasons, but seriously, still. good to see the room full. More work in government. Not a lot of us today. Elections are the 7th through the 11th. A whole lot of people here running. Make sure you vote. Debate tomorrow, obviously. Do that. I'd be happy to answer any questions that don't have to do with what I just said, because, we're sort of curious. Other than that,
Any questions for the justice? Thank you, Justice Bergen. Next, we move into the committee reports. Board of Act Affairs. Ms. Nimes.
Hello. I apologize for the attire. I might have hurt my ankle over the weekend, so you are just taking off the out tonight. So basically in my committee, we are mixing things up, brief outline. We're trying to get like a match.com tutoring website. So if you don't have it on ACT, like a group discussion, you can make groups to study, you can find a tutor, things like that. We're trying to do like a textbook bin. This this is what I imagine in my head. At the end of the semester, where the books that you can't sell back to the co-op, you can take to the library, and they'll pay you like a flat rate. Hopefully, we're trying to get that worked out. It may not happen this year, but hopefully sometime in the future, so we can at least recycle those textbooks, and maybe the library can keep them. I think that's it. Oh, this is a side note. It has nothing to do with USG, but a program that I am involved with, we're having a Mo's night for a fundraiser, and it goes to leadership workshops for high schoolers. It's March 11th from 5 to 8, and I'd love to see all of your faces there.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Chairperson Hines. Next we move into report of external affairs. Chairperson Daniels.
All right, as you guys know, we continue to be working with Gail Garber from Governmental Relations on helping promote the Next Generation Connecticut proposal. Many of you had heard that we were unsure of what the Finance Committee hearing, which was the first hurdle for us, was going to be. That is going to be Monday. So that's right, this upcoming Monday. How many of you, show of hands, might be available on Monday between 11 a.m. and about 3 or 4 p.m.? Senator Alvarez. Senator Ripken, all right. If any of you think that you can work around your schedules, there are going to be buses. I believe they're going to leave at 11 o'clock up by CLIS, or the former CLIS. I believe it's the Philip Austin building now. They're going to take you to the Capitol. There's a press conference there with the governor, so you can get to meet the governor if that at all excites you. That's going to be at 12:30. And at 1 o'clock, people are going to testify before the Finance Committee, and that's very important in terms of being able to get new buildings, new dorms, new science facilities, and all of that, the big renovations over the next 10 years. That's the first step. So if you would like to testify, if you know anyone who you think wants to testify, get in touch with me or with any member of my committee. And our membership coordinator will be emailing you all the details very soon.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? Thank you, Chairperson Daniels. Next we move into the report of the funding board. Chairperson Giordina.
So tonight, clearly we have two legislative requests to go through. Before that, we're going to go over funding costs changes, which is many of you were at caucus. We went over pretty much what I want to present tonight. So I'll wait until that item on the agenda to do that. You would have had the packets for the legislative requests, but there's some technical difficulties.
Yeah, did you send it to Representative?
So I just wanted to go over the fall 2013 budgets because that's
get out a piece of paper and pencil. Not you guys. Okay, so write down April 13th, which is a Saturday at noon. And then write down April 18th, which is a Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Check those dates. You'll be spending them with me. It's going to be fun. The first one's a campus cleanup day. We're going to clean it up before people ruin it. And then we're going to do a safe walk and make sure the campus is safe before people go out and do dumb things. Besides that, we're looking at Student Appreciation Day. So if anybody's a good artist or knows a good artist, I need to design a t-shirt and I can't draw or have any good quotes or slogans. So if anybody knows anyone, put them in contact with me. I have a new vice chair. It's Kevin, right there. You guys want to give him a little bit of... That's all I have.
Are there any questions for the chairperson? The chairperson, no. Since there's no unfinished business, we move directly into new business. The first item on new business is an act concerning the Tier 2 funding policy. Chairperson, do you need to be recognized by the chair?
So, now, basically what we're voting on is what we went over in caucus last time. Basically, this is the same stuff that we talked about at caucus. I'm going to highlight the changes again. Does everybody have what I sent out last time? Because that's what we're voting on.
Yeah.
It was the same stuff.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, I want to. So the big issues in the new policy are basically changes to the semester request restrictions. So that's again the limits on what people can request. So again, we're going to put in a restriction on how many people can attend a catered event. We're going to put catering for 50 people max, and beyond that, we have to pay for exceptions. Granted, if people can, or groups can prove that they had more than 50 people in that, we'll come to that people. Catering requests will come off this organization dining menu. If the organization dining menu is available for people by the end of next week. You guys, who here was that caucus last night? If you have questions, you weren't here and you have questions. We went through a lot last time, and we're going to have to go over it again, but I'm going to speed through stuff and get questions asked me.
So the motion was to adopt the new funding policies and adopt them, I guess, at the meeting tomorrow, or put them into effect.
Basically, we want to get through these legislative requests today under the old policies instead of looking forward. So that's why.
Is there a second? Second by Ron. Caleb. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the motion? Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of adopting the motion as presented by the chairperson, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Passes. Okay, next we move into an act concerning funding regarding the Boston Club.
Can we move the legislative request so we can get these approved? That's not a legislative request, that's an agenda.
By unanimous consent, so we move into an act concerning funding for ConMed. They have numbers, yeah, here.
Just stay there for
Shit, I'm sending you the packet right now. I'm going to send them all.
Okay.
It's just that coming.
That's okay. Hey, everyone. John, just represent.
Yeah.
Read it right now.
So I'm just going to read it and then I'll go over their initiatives. So an act concerning emergency funding for comment. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of undergraduate student initiatives. Whereas comment is requested funding for the initiative to record and mix ACD to promote the arts and share the music with the UConn community as described in the attached document. Whereas the above mentioned initiative has a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to the student body. Therefore, be resolved that the undergraduate student government allocates $12,000 for the above mentioned initiative comment. So, comment came to me about 4 or 5 weeks ago for this funding request in order to record and mix up CD. And the goal was to share the music with the UConn community, promote the arts, and display the talented musicians that they had. They gave me 3 quotes ranging between $12,000 to $15,000. So the cheapest one was a local company, and their estimated total cost was $12,430 to create the CD. They will have 10 songs on the CD, so roughly about 1,200 each. And the members of ConMed will fund the remaining costs through fundraisers, things like that. So I would like to yield the floor to the group of ConMed.
Hello, my name is John Garrity. I'm the president of UConn Comment, and I was going to come to you here today to talk about funding for our CD. The Comment had been funded for their last CD, which came out approximately 5 or 6 years ago, and we're hoping that you could be as generous as you were last time to assist us in funding again. Just a little about us. What we're definitely hoping to do this with this CD is kind of reach out to the local community, get the voice for music out, especially acapella, which is becoming very popular lately. Definitely this semester, and this year rather, obviously, biased, but we have a very special group, and our advisor himself is a professor at School Music said in the 10 years that he's known the Comment, this is the year for us to record, this year for us, to kind of go and, kind of reach out to the community. We hope to be a positive voice for the University of Connecticut by interacting with, getting our voice out to members of the community beyond UConn. We're hoping to, reach out and interact with some music programs in different public schools. This past week, we actually had an acapella group come up from one of our high schools to kind of give them a workshop. So it's involved in kind of us presenting our music and also trying to, inspire others to perform as well. We want to show you, we're all here, we're really invested in this, and we hope that, that we're definitely taking this seriously. See what your investment would be going in. We were hoping to perform for you guys one of our songs, if that would be all right.
Is that all right?
So, I'd like to entertain a motion to enact concerning dates in front of the comment. Motion by Chaudhary, is there a second? Second by Alvarez. Are there any questions regarding the legislation? Rana, Manfredi, in that order. Dugan's. Hold on. Griffin.
On a category B. So that would be
And the CDs are sold, that money comes back to the USG funding.
The CDs sold, the CDs are going to be given out to students. Okay.
Senator Manfredi.
I have two questions. I'm not sure if you guys can answer them. I might have missed it originally, but is the 12,000 just for like the time of recording here? Is that for
The 12,000 is to break down the quote. So basically, it's going to be for the recording, editing, mixing, mastering, reputations. So they're going to have 300 discs made out, and it's going to be travel included with that. Travel combination meals totaling 1810.
Okay, and a second question, I don't know if the question was rejected earlier. Do we know how much money we have left for our legislative budget?
$26,874 and 84 cents.
That is relative to $38,238.86 requested, and also $28,667.70 recommended.
Did everyone get those numbers? Because we're always going to keep asking. So, you got them? Say them again. All right. Mr. Berserker, put them on. Yes. Point of personal privilege. Does that make sense to everybody? Does that make sense to everybody? What's up on the screen? All right. Senator Lubins, for questions. It's okay. Senator Naki for questions. Senator Minetti for questions. In that order, come on. Naki. Yep. No, it's okay. On this side, there was Senator Barbarana and Krishna.
My question is, regarding, have they previously requested funding for this? And if they did not, why?
I don't know the exact time frame that it was, they told me earlier, but they haven't requested anything like this in quite a number of years. In their entire existence, I believe they've only requested funds once. And so this is something that's kind of a long time coming, something that they really haven't tried to get before, so it's more of a one-time thing than it's their first time really getting their names.
What are the facts? They started in 2001 and they were last funded in 2008 for the same mission, for the CD.
Senator Patel. Not Senator Patel, Vice President Patel. So what happened? Okay. Chief of Staff, or not Chief of Staff, Senior Advisor Naki.
My question is, why was this not requested the budget session back in November? To my knowledge, it was requested in fall, but there was a miscommunication between funding board and CONMED. They did not arrive at their meeting due to lack of email communication.
Senator Minetti.
Just one question, I know you mentioned food on campus. The $12,000 request, is that specific, or is that specific on just?
Yes, you mentioned about food. I didn't mention this week. Yeah. Let me.
How do you say the previous question in regards to why?
Sorry, I was going to give the floor to the president.
Miscommunication. That was in regards to my vice president, who did go to the funding meeting, but that actually ended up being canceled. So that's why that miscommunication that they decided to just put out for the next semester. As far as food goes, yeah, nothing going to food. Yeah.
It's all going to reporting.
It's all going to reporting. Yeah. The 12 that they put in there is not for food for us.
But also, yield the floor, since I got it now again, to Senator Giordino, Chairperson Giordino, to answer something.
Okay, so yeah, I can confirm that comment applied in the last budget session, and they did not receive funding due to miscommunication between the board and the group. To my knowledge, I think the other information is that they last received funding.
Senator Barbarana. You all set? Senator Krishna.
My question is, how well you guys know either within the university and around the state or the country? Because I know other academics at other universities that just pretty well, for instance, emails to the school and everything. But because I feel like if you're asking for the recording and everything, the more well-known you are, the more successful you're going to be. So I'm just curious.
I mean, I would say in terms of the reporting, I think part of the reasoning for it is to make yourself more known. And I think they are a very big presence on campus in terms of, I had heard of them before, I had seen them before. And so they are very much on campus, they're a bigger name, but the recording is a way to broadcast the more of UConn organic.
Senator.
Just in regards to that, yes, we're trying to get our name out more, just as I said before. We have sung in different locations before. We sung at the White House during the holidays, the past groups have. We sung for President Herbst, we recently sung at the Provost holiday party, so we're having a pretty big presence at UConn that's growing. Definitely in regards to why this hasn't really been adjusted for is we knew that the group pretty much wasn't at the level where we want to definitely commit to a CD like that, and we know now we have the initiative, we can definitely follow
Williams.
Is this request time sensitive in that it has to be done after the semester? Will putting it off and applying for it normally affect anything in terms of the reporting and reports? To the crisis.
Again, I would like to yield it to the president. This question.
To my knowledge, it will not be time sensitive. I don't know if you, Chief.
We have a few people graduating, so.
If there are a few people graduating, so we did want to get this done as soon as possible because going on in the future.
Is there a number of people?
Graduating, we definitely have one. Will, and Sam. Yeah, so two. Two graduates.
Senator Violet, Sergeant Rock Violet.
I guess this is a question for, basically, will this negatively affect their CD if they do wait for the semester? So for instance, if these people do have to graduate, or for instance, is there a way that they can maybe reduce this cost of this a little bit, in some way, maybe more, I guess?
But the only take out of that is that the two seniors that graduated, they won't be able to perform lectures. And the other thing is, we know about price inflation, and the quotes do go up next semester. They did send me other quotes as well besides these three, and they were all around the $15,000 range. The Volvo company was the only one that was 12%.
So I guess I'm repeating the question. It would be really great if we pass this, but we don't have too much time. Is there any way we can come to an agreement where it's a more attractive to set and pass?
We'll yield to.
Just in regards to students graduating, I just want to notice that definitely does change the musical dynamic of the group, especially with new members coming in. And additionally, one of the members that we're definitely using is our current music director, who is pretty much carrying this entire group musically. So there's definitely a big blow in regards to quality of the music itself. But in regards to the funding, if any, it needs to be changed. The full amount is not said on the common are willing to cover the rest of that stage, but we do not have a lot of funds to do so.
Thank you. Senator Donna.
We don't want to break down
The travel is going to be 700-mile round trip from Rochester, New York, and it's going to be $770.
And the travels to studios.
The travel, is it someone you to the president again? Do you want to call
Yeah,
me?
sorry.
Probably better.
You ready to come up? Yeah, that would be traveling to the studio itself in order to record.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's next? Ruiz, Judy.
He said you first.
I'm sorry, I meant Judy is next on the speaker's list.
If, seeing the human number of members and that's the first, if we have what would we not be able to?
Will we be able to cover? At this time in our funds totally, we approximately have, I don't know the specific number, but around $1,000 right now. Time sensitive as far as dropping it off, I'd say, I don't know if anyone has any input or the our chief financial officer, but based off the numbers, yeah, we could go by request of like if you maybe $2,000 or $3,000 less, but definitely for some.
Guys, from now on, questions, ask them facing this way. The camera can't pick up the noise, and it's useless for you to ask questions this way. And also, everybody project, okay? Because we don't have no mics. No rules. Yeah.
I guess so.
Has the group looked into fundraising of any sort? Have they done any past fundraisers? Have they planned any for the semester to help cover some of the costs?
So pretty much all, as far as fundraisers, we've been doing a lot of performances these past semesters. That's what we use to take in our money. We've been performing at different schools on breaks and doing different performances like at the Science Center in Hartford. So that's our main way of taking in money. But besides any other fundraisers that would go outside of the performance scheme and that.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for questions? Senator Ron.
Just a couple of things. I have a question about exactly. Is there any way you guys can specify how much money is going into everything, like a breakdown, if you have that available?
We have available, is it possible on the screen?
John, would you be able to send them the vote?
John,
the
which one
vote
of these is
company?
the breakdown?
It's kind of the,
Last.
the breakdown should be more in the quotes when the media. Go back there. Gonna be the estimate numbers.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Chairperson Giardina, you guys are all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when funding board reviews this, all the quotes and required documents are in order. I'm not going to say whether or not I think we should purchase it, but of course with the Senate, I will say the quotes are there, all the documents are in order, and then I would also just like to know if any of that. And you're always free to amend the amount of agreement to try to reduce how much we're taking in.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for debate? You have a question?
Can we get a list of everyone's requests for training up there?
Yeah, I don't have that, but John? Anybody else who would like to be recognized for Manfredi? I would like to just remind the body that we have 7 other orders of business today.
It's actually along the same lines that we have there's no way that we can allot $12,000 more for six of the office. It's very blunt and I think it's very unfortunate to say I would like to invest $12,000. But I don't think there's any way that we can allot such a large percentage of our budget to a single group. I am not sure how much we should give them. I think their documents are in order. They have come to us this early. We should give them something. There's no reason not to. They've done everything correctly. But I don't know.
Just want to clarify, my comment was based on time, not on whether we should fund it or not. Anybody else?
I didn't answer your
Right, that's okay. Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for debate? Rana? Anybody else?
I just have a couple of things to say about comment. From what they had told us at the funding board meeting, they want to try and get this done before the semester ends, and they're trying to get things. This recording would take 2 weeks, 2 weekends, and they're trying to get that done late April, early May, just to clarify for anyone that has questions. And this is a category B. So for our policies, we would be funding it 100% if it was through like the previous policies or in the budgeting. So like we were saying earlier, our funds are limited. I don't know how much we want to amend it by if we were willing to, but that's up to discretion.
I'm not here to say like should we fund this or not, but I just want to place an option on your table, which is if the Senate, especially because if you fund all of these requests as recommended by the funding board, they're short, I think, what, $12,000? $2,000. We always have an option to, I guess, not to reallocate our budget a little bit, and we could always move money from exec to this fund to fund it. It's a tricky situation, but we could do it. It's an option. I'm not saying that we should do it or not, but just think about it. That's an option. So if you think that all of these groups should be funded, go for it. That's an option. If you think that that's reasonable, then you don't have to do it. It's an option. So just putting it out there.
Anybody else would like to direct us? Sure.
Mr. Vice President, what is the current reserve? I don't know from the top of my head. I assume that there are $2,000 left. I hope that they're the exact budget. Well, I'm going to actually have to refer to our congressman to confirm that.
I can't give you an exact number right now. I can run downstairs and find out what that is. It's not a lot. If it is enough, it's only barely.
Point of information.
Yeah.
How does that work? 'Cause I feel
Senate can charge any committee. Senate sets the budget for the entire organization. So if Senate says we want to take money away from AC affairs, they can do so, or student affairs, they can do so. The comptroller puts forth a budget every semester as a recommendation, almost a directive to Senate, saying that this is how we feel the funds should be allocated, or how I feel, having coordinated with a representative from each committee. So he talks to me, he talks to Alice, he talks to Katie, how much do you need? And then he allocates funds accordingly and then pitches it to Senate and Senate confirms it. What the Vice President is saying is for Senate to consider taking money from somewhere where we've budgeted for something and allocate it to Senate's budget or to Funding Board's budget and charge that money or these requests to that fund.
So basically, if you were to think about doing this, what you would do is basically motion to lay this question on the table. So basically, you would say, we want to do something else before we vote on this. So you would put this to a side for a second. You would make a motion to move money from exec to your legislative fund. That be finished, and you will go back to this, and then we can go from there. So that's the way you do it.
Chairperson Himes?
Okay, so I think this is a tough situation, but being a chair of a committee, we never really know what costs we're going to incur during this semester. So let's say ACT fairs, people at ACT fairs, let's say we find an event on campus that we really want to fund and we need money from exec, that's the only option for us to get more money too. Same with student affairs, same with external, same with everyone. So just be wary of that because it's a great thing and I love content. I always go to all of their performances. But at the same time, if we do run into something where we do need money, we need that from executive as well. So it's a great idea, but just keep that in the back of your head.
Is there anybody else who would like to be recognized for debate? Senator Rana? Huggins in the order. Huggins? No.
Point of information first. What was the amount that was funded for travel or
$770.
Okay. And the total amount was $12.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm just going to motion
to amend the actual amount funded to $11,692, which would take the travel $770 and bring it down to at least 60%. Hopefully we can try and save a little bit more money. But this is usually policy that if it's funded during a normal time, travel is funded between 75 max or 60% at most. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Motion to amend, is there a second? Sergeant, questions regarding the motion? Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of adopting the motion to amend, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? The motion passes. So the amount requested has been amended to read it off.
11,692.
We're still in a debate of the original motion to fund this group. Senator Rana.
As the common president came up earlier and said that they're willing to take around between $2,000 and $3,000 out of their request, and I feel like that would be a beneficial thing to Senate as a whole, because we have many more organizations as well. So I would like to make a motion to amend the following request to $10,000.
Is there a second? Minetti. Any questions regarding the motion to amend to 10,000? Yeah. Right from your chair. Project. Yeah.
Is there anything that that number is exactly based off of? Because it seems to just be like, oh, hey, they seem kind of willing to be cutting it down by $2,000, but it's not actually specifically from anything. Whereas in our normal policies, they would be funded their full amount without any of these additional cuts. This is just kind of arbitrary. They seem willing to do it, so let's cut them $2,000.
For our policies, we go by the recommendations that funding board is given, so Senate still has the discretion whether they want to fund the group 100% or 0%. So if Senate deems it that they want to reduce it by another $1,692, they have to reduce it.
Are there any other questions? Chaudhary, from your seat, turn around, project.
The other thing is, if they do lower to that 10,000, that will mean they would have to cut songs. I believe they had cut.
Is there a question, Senator Chaudhary? Yeah.
Is there any way we could maybe think about lowering it a little bit to take into account fundraising in addition to whatever money they're going to take out of their pocket? Just because part of the policies, like when we read them, kind of get your fundraise more, and I realize they do performances. I love them. But I feel that we should maybe consider, is there a way we can bring it down?
That would be during debate where you would motion. It was a question.
Hold on, so for clarification, we lower it more under 10,000? I guess that would happen. I'll yield that to the council president.
That would
That would be good.
Are there any other questions?
That was a question. That was a question.
Oh.
She was asking.
Oh, my fault. I'm
whether-
sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are yielding. Are you going to yield it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I just repeat?
Mr. President, do you feel?
Yeah.
You restate the question.
Would it be possible to bring down the cost of it, taking into account the rate you have, and maybe thinking about doing additional fundraisers? Would that be a thing that is doable for you guys on your end? Is that realistic?
Yeah. We actually do a lot of charity work too. The high schools, we've actually gone out to Woodstock Academy this corner this year, and we go and do workshops for them. So it's kind of hard to, especially with more guys in our group, find time that works for everybody to go do things where we make money. We've actually been trying to do more charity stuff and help people out. So this CD would help us get our name out there so that we can continue to work on that. That would be
Also, the fundraising is hard because when we put on our end of year shows, we don't charge students because it's not really I'm not for shows if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Acapella isn't supposed to charge. That's in our own legislation. But yeah, we don't charge for shows, and I don't think this is.
Are there any other questions regarding the motion to amend to $10,000? Reduce it by the original amount by $2,430, the amended amount by $1,692. Are there any other questions regarding the amendment? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there anybody who would like to Alvarez and Love in that order? Anybody else? Right or left?
As Senate, it is up to our discretion to ignore the funding policies, but seeing as we haven't really been using our discretion on any of the other funding requests, to do it to just arbitrarily cut down the amount because we're afraid that we have too little money, it's completely unfair to the group that we're actually trying to represent. They're a Category B, or it's a Category B request, so they would have been getting their full amount requested, as Funding Board said, had there not been an issue when they originally applied. So that's not really on their end, it's on our end. And for us to, because we're nervous that we're getting too close to our final number, that's our fault, that's not theirs. They're a group that is giving back to the community, that's effect on this campus and in this community is far beyond a monetary amount that they can just be constantly fundraising instead of actually doing the things that make them as relevant as they are. I think it's just ridiculous to try to continue to just cut and shave off more and more from this group to the extent that it might not even be possible for them to do their initiative. So I think arbitrarily cutting money is a foolish thing to do. I think it's a dangerous thing to do. And just to say, oh, hey, $10,000, that sounds like a good number, is silly to me. So I think we should fund them at the 11,000 whatever number that Neil had talked about, because that is a reasonable cut. But I don't think we need to just keep shaving more and more and more off of this group.
No. Chairperson Lowe, sorry.
Okay, so it started out at 12,000, and they said they had roughly 1,000 to contribute. So that right now leaves them with $1,000 to fundraise within a month. I think that's fair. I would not try and go any lower because that's kind of extreme. I feel like we would be giving them money that they would not be able to use. So at the lowest, I would recommend this, but I would not recommend going lower because they're going to take $9,000 and not be able to raise $2,000 and have to return it and not receive. And I don't think that's really the outcome any of us are looking for since we've been debating this for an hour.
Senator Violet? Freddie?
I don't think $10,000 is an arbitrary number at all. We are $2,000 short with the current funds that we have for all of the fundraising. For all of the funding requests tonight. That's real. It's not arbitrary. We know that we are short money. We know that we are going to be at zero if we grant everyone's requests tonight. That is what it is. We cannot give everyone all the money they ask for. And as Chairperson Lowe was saying, it's very reasonable to ask them to raise another $1,000 in a month. If we want to be fair to all the people here, I think that is a very reasonable idea.
Senator?
It's not just about being fair to the group that we have at hand, but all of them.
Senator Rana? You guys, if I signal you that you're good for debate, please just line up over here. Okay, so it's quicker. It'll go Googans, and then Alvarez wants to get on there again. If anyone wants to be recognized before Alvarez, since he already had a chance to speak, Sergeant, you were here in front.
Point of order.
Yeah.
But when Senate previously configured this way, it didn't work out in the best manner.
What do you mean?
Lining people up, certain senators basically ran to front of the line.
No, they have to be recognized by the speaker before they get recognized. Go ahead.
Since it's not a race, I really agree with Senator Freddie. We represent not just Convent, but the rest of the groups that are also here, and then groups that will be coming in the next 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we have another Senate, and there's going to be more groups asking for money. We need to be fair to the entire student body and not just to a particular group. Convent do great work, and that resonates with us, but we're not here to study the body of their work. We're here to study the facts.
the funding facts, and the amount of money we have. I think 10,000 is a reasonable amount. As Chairperson Lowe said, they have thousands in their account. They can fundraise a little bit more. And I would motion to call previous question.
The previous question has been called. There's a second. Huggins. All those in favor of calling the previous question, please signify by saying aye. Remember that the question, I'm sorry, that's my fault. I shouldn't have asked the question. The question is on the amendment. So if this passes, we move to vote on the amendment, not the original legislation. Okay?
What is the current amendment?
The current amendment is to bring it to 10,000. All those in favor of calling the previous question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions. The previous question has been called. All those in favor of approving the amendment to go down to $10,000, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions. The amendment passes. So now we're at $10,000. Is there anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Alvarez, Huggins, Chaudhary, Krishna. Krishna gets it first because you've been recognized, and so have the rest of you. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question for you guys. Is there any way that we can make, I think we need to fund the most, like, the largest amount, which is like recording costs, but how much of your personal travel and things like that can you bring down that you can pay on out of your own pocket? So I feel like you can maybe just pay the recording costs and then spend it.
Should we respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
As far as personal items go, that would have to be cut down. I know there's something for food on that. Meals shouldn't be on there. That can be completely cut off.
If we can remove stuff like that, then we're okay.
Yeah, that's true for you. Yeah, that was if we had the studio producer come to UConn. We wanted to be paid for food and housing and anything else. That's where he housed him last time, and then we gave him per diem. So.
Essentially, for our own, we planned on using our own bank account, our own money for travel costs and meals.
What I meant before by the term arbitrary, I mean it's arbitrary in terms of this group. We're saying we need $2,000 more, yet we're putting all of that money on this one group because it's the first one up. So we can't just say, hey, we need $2,000 more, let's cut it from the first group. So I would propose returning to the original 11,000 whatever number that Neil had talked about, but reducing that by $250 and then reducing every single one of the 8 requests we have tonight by $250 because that would equally divide the 2,000 amongst them. Because, instead of just throwing it on the first group. If that makes sense then. No? Huh? Then some percent. Because it's ridiculous to say, hey, this is the first group, throw the 2,000 on them. We don't want to.
We're only discussing the funding that's on the table right now. So just that side. We have our senior advisor, Nockley, hasn't been recognized in this debate yet, so he'll be recognized first.
So just to throw out some historical context, last year when I was the board chair, we had many groups come to us for replication, mastering, mixing, basically what we have here. So this request is something that the planning board has funded in the past. It's very in line with policies and historical context. However, in the past, as chair, I did make some recommendations to groups such as ConMed, which do great work in the community, and obviously your music is great. We do appreciate it. One of the ideas that we've given out in the past is taking out the replication, the 750 discs that are not 300 discs that are listed up there for the amount of $750, and we've told groups, recommended to groups, that they use iTunes and distribute their music that way. So that is something to take into consideration. We have done that in the past, and we'll continue about that.
All right, just to start, I think 10,000 is a very reasonable number because they do have the $1,000
third vote passes. The previous question has been called. $10,000 is the doubly amended amount. So the question is to fund conmen at $10,000. All those in favor of funding conmen, again, at $10,000, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Vote passes.
Thank you very much.
Will you
For another. If you're willing.
Yeah, we don't want to take all your time.
No, we got other things.
If you like us on Facebook, we can.
Moving to the next order of business. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but we have 6 of them.
You're really fine. You have a good night.
Take care. If I give you 10 grand.
We love you. We love you.
All right, next we first of all, John, are you ready for your boxing club?
I would recommend that we get through the other.
Instead of boxing.
Boxing club.
Next we move into an act concerning funding Pi Sigma Epsilon. Yeah, thanks. I did that. Yeah.
We weren't sure of how much was left in the Senate budget. But we want to amend our initial request from $20,000 to $16,025. Well, okay, well, that's representing the head by $16,025 as PSC has agreed to, which would be covering the airfare registration. We'd like to yield the floor to Armando to speak about the funding for the convention and what PSC is all about.
Good evening, y'all. I know we're short on time. First of all, thank you for your time and consideration. I'm Armando. I'm the National Collegiate Vice President for Pi Sigma Epsilon Fraternity Incorporated. We are not a social organization. We are an academic organization. We are in school business, but we may be the most diverse organization. We have 2 members from NEAC, 4 people in the communications department. We have marketing. We have also sociology, psychology, and of course business. We do have an engineer, minor. However, we are not strictly focused on business. The purpose we're asking for funding this evening is because we are going to a national convention where we are finalists. Out of 73 chapters, we are the only Northeast school that sits as a finalist for 9 awards. This, the amount that we are asking for is one to cover flight, also registration. We have had 4 people who have their flights covered, as well as their hotel. We have been doing fundraisings left and right. The reason why I feel you should invest in us is, one, like I said, we're not only a business organization, we are open to multiple colleges and universities here that we have, or programs here at the institution. We've held career fairs that have been open to everybody, as well as golf tournaments open that they're offering internship and full-time positions right on the spot. We've done tons of things. We've done Dodging for Dollars. We've also done suit and tie, where we give children in Hartford, opportunity to actually dress up and understand what it's like to enter the corporate world and how to dress up outside of, them being underrepresented in these areas.
I'd like to entertain a motion to fund Pi Sigma Epsilon at the amount requested, which is $16,025. Is there a motion? You guys use your motion. Is there a second? All right, Alvarez. We move into questions. Are there any questions regarding Hugans and Myla in that order? Kayla, McCabe got the motion. Alvarez got the second. Go ahead.
Okay. I've got, can I just question, or one second, not follow-up?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there were 4 students already funded for travel. Who was responsible for funding them? Was that through funding board already? Or was that through a private organization or personal funding?
That was through PSC doing certain events.
Also, and then how much are the participants who are not funded, those 4, the rest of them, how much are they currently paying out of pocket to go?
Currently, we're
We have, we did have an Excel for this. Yeah, I don't know if you-
This is what I was given. John?
Yeah.
Anybody else with questions? Oh, I'm sorry, we have this list one first. Violet here next, and then Ron come up, or actually, somebody over here, Jones, and then Ron. Come up.
So my question is, how many members of this organization will be required as a minimum to go for this to succeed? To accept the rules?
We're nominated for 9 boards, so we're basically everyone on that list there to go to all the events that like community services around the world, for workshops, and plus the competitions, so all of us can be there, all these basically.
Who's next? Yeah.
I just have a couple of questions. Are you two senators part of this organization?
Yes.
And then, out of the people that are going, is everyone competing? Or is everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, and will it be necessary for every single one of the events to be possible? Is it only possible if everyone on this list is able to go, or would you be able to factor in?
Well, the 9 different awards are like all different things that they don't go together, but they're all for different sorts of things like top management, top salesperson, top public relations, like all these different things that each different member who's been nominated has like a different skill for and different opportunity to win the award, as well as the sellathons, the advertising campaign competitions, the case studies, and in addition, chapter roundtables where new e-board members who are also competing for things will learn how to be like the best board that we can have for the next year.
So then, just for clarification, are you guys competing?
Yes. The one up there shows who's competing in what has already.
And the first thing you see that are covered is because they are either finalists or winners of other competitions. For example, Northwestern Mutual is a huge recruiter here, and they're one of our national sponsors, and that's because we went to the national convention that we funded before, and they actually came here. They do a lot of recruiters. Tons of people get recruited and hired to Northwestern Mutual. We keep a very good relationship with them, not only inside the school business, but they're here for the general career fair as well. And because of these competitions and our participation at these events, that's why they're able to come and we have that foundation relationship with them.
Thank you.
Alright, this might be more of a point of information thing. For a tier 2 organization, the max you can fund is $12,000, is that correct?
According to the policies per semester, yes, but Senate can transcend that amount if they want. Any other questions after Googans?
Can we go back down to the... Okay, so, once again, airfare travel is $600. Is it possible to get that down to between 75 and 60% as per the policy?
You ask me?
Can I see that?
I'm not sure what the cost of that would be. I can try to figure that out. So this is maybe a point of information for John.
Yeah.
Is our initial request cut 60%?
Yes. When that was the 24 recommendation, but when you cut it 60% for the original 20,000 that you had, it was still over 12,000.
Any other questions after Kara or Senator Goins?
Okay, my question is regarding, again, the competition versus awards, and is there a group award that requires the entire roster to be present in order to win, to qualify?
I think what the executive board of USC is trying to say is that there are different awards, and it's we're there for 5 or 6 days, and there's different awards at different times, as well as competitions all happening all at the same time. So this is all overlapping. We want to represent our chapter for the awards as well as compete on all those competitions. But everyone who's also accepting awards is also in a competition or has other duties.
That is an individual competition, it's not a group competition. Each competition that they are competing in is as an individual or an individual award.
No, I'll leave
Well, there's some competitions where for one award, you need 12 people to present. So like we're up for one of the top chapters, you need 12 people in that room at once presenting. Meanwhile, we'll have a competition for a different thing, in a different room, where you need, 5 people representing our chapter. We're up for top management, where we need our entire keyboard there. Things like that happen all at once. So considering that and also the amount of people needed in these awards and competitions, we do need everyone on that roster. We've tried to cut it down ourselves too, but that's the minimum. Great. So,
You can follow up.
I can follow up. Okay, so going off of that, is the schedule such that you can't take them in, like if the minimum, the smallest group activity is 12, can you just take 12 people and have them compete in every single thing?
Because a lot of them happen. Yeah. Because the thing is, a lot of these awards or competitions, actually most of them, they're hosted by actual companies that come in and they're all during business hours. This is part of their job is to work with us and things like that. So they all happen during their business hours at the same time each day. Like there's like morning halves and afternoon halves of the day, and there's more than 2 things that happen each day.
And especially because we have the selling competition and some other things that we're up for like that, where they happen all day, every day, and you don't get your assigned time until you get there as well. So people who are in the competition, which is pretty much everyone on that list, we have no idea when we're competing until we get there in the center.
I was wondering how many programs were in your fraternity?
36.
And then we have, I think, 6 individuals right now. But they obviously.
We haven't invited our new members, but with our regular members, we have about 35.
Okay, and a follow-up question. Has there been any general fundraising along those to send, each other donations there?
Yep.
Every year we host a golf tournament to raise $100 for that and bring some corporate sponsors. We hosted a career fair in the entire school system this year, which raised $5,000. We hold small fundraisers for about like restaurants on campus.
Like right now, we're about to do Insomnia Cookies as well, so we do a lot of fundraising on our own. We've never requested USG funding before. We've never needed it before, but this is obviously like a huge thing for us. So we worked the entire year to get here.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah.
Okay, in regards to the fundraising, how much money do you have currently reserved that you could put towards this that you've made or you anticipate making?
Well, so right as we put here, we were planning on spending about $2,600 from our money that we currently have, because that's what we can afford to spend and continue to post our events that we give the economic golf tournament. But we the career fair that you mentioned is something that the school of business has actually decided to work with us on, and they have promised us about $4,500 for that, and that was in October. We're still waiting on that money, and that's why we haven't been able to receive that, and there's been a big, huge issue with the process there. We're waiting on that, but in the meantime, we have limited funding that we actually have available.
Senator Rana and then Violet. Yeah.
Okay, so when you cut the funding from 20,000 to 16,000, what was exactly the funding?
Hotel.
Hotel was completely cut. So okay, so even then, there's still travel on it, so that's not much.
Who did I recognize again? Violet?
So, someone previously mentioned that this is being worked on the entire year. Why is it being worked on now and not worked on until later?
We requested funding last semester, and unfortunately, we weren't denied funding, we were just like forgotten. So we had to make a legislative request. We were just overlooked.
Yeah, Manfredi.
Okay, I have two questions. First of all, can I ask the funding board question?
Yeah.
Can you verify that? Like, how does somebody
So,
get looked over? for that?
basically, what happened is their paperwork was misplaced. We recognized that after Senate originally approved the spring 2015 budget, we notified them that they had standing to appeal, but that the appeal would basically view their application as if it were being considered during the normal budgeting session. And if it were considered in that way, they would have been denied because of the place. They would have been denied in the lack of funds because of the category they were and the amount that they were requesting. So we had correspondence with them about that, and we notified them that they had standing to appeal, but if they did appeal, it would most likely be denied in the lack of funds.
Okay, and then my other question was that the 22,000 figure, is that your entire cost, or is that how much you were requesting? And if that's so, what is your entire cost for the entire trip?
The 22 is the entire cost. There's like a very small cost of getting to Bradley, but that's just going to be out of pocket from us, like, joining cars and getting there and stuff. People would buy tickets and get there really easily. Other than that, that's the only thing.
Any other questions? Questions regarding the initial legislation? Seeing none, we move into questions. Seeing none, we move into debate. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, and sorry. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. First, Mark, John, Jefferson, you can get up here. You too. Anybody else for debate?
So, funding boards have looked through their materials, their documents are complete. CAP has been considered for the regular budget session, which has been categorized as category D, which is funded at 60%. However, at the level they're requesting, it would be cut due to sufficient funds. So again, the funding board does not have numbers on their recommended, or what they're, the new number they're requesting. Under the 20,000, they would have recommended funding at 12,000. But again, right, so the recommended amount, so at their new amount of $16,025, the 60% would be $9,615. That would have been, we didn't vote on it, obviously, that most likely would have been the funding board recommendation, not that, so cut to 60%. $9,615.
Anybody else for debate?
How's everybody doing? Not to try and open up a can of worms here. I know personally that against them. But in light of the funding policies, I'd like to motion an amendment to cap out the allocated funds to $12,000, and the fact that the funding policy only allows 8 members to a conference, I think we should really reconsider that. So I motion to fund no more than $12,000.
Is there a second? Manfredi, questions regarding the motion to amend, which is at 12,000? Yeah. Questions, Chairperson Giordino?
Where are you getting to the 12,000? What are you getting?
Just this.
This is the cap, yeah.
Any other questions? Debate on the motion to amend, yeah.
Would it
Is that
be,
question to debate?
just off of debate off of his, would it be 12,000 or to 8 people?
That's a question, correct. Yes, towards the 8 members that were maximized allowed to the conference, $12,000. Yeah.
It's not that serious, but, well, are you saying that in the current funding policies, you can have, it says no more than 8 members unless the PSC gives a reason for why we need more than 8 members? So are you saying we're going to limit it to 8 members across the board no matter?
If there's a reason presented and put forward towards Senate, then I can understand that.
Okay.
As the funding policies stand, I figure 8 is, we should follow the policy.
But we did get, I guess it's big.
Questions? Yeah. Yeah.
I think they did say that you
Oh,
need
okay.
more than 8 people. It would be fine for like most sports, but they have more than 8 people, they can say that 8 more than
Yeah, that's the debate, but yeah. Any other questions regarding the motion? The motion is to amend to $12,000. So now we move into debate. Is there anybody who'd like to be recognized for debate regarding the amendment? Yes. Go.
I would like to make a friendly amendment to the 12,000 and bring it down to 9,615, which is the 60% value of the travel.
This is a friendly amendment, which means it's by unanimous consent. So if anybody in the entire chamber wants to disagree with this amendment, they can do so. And then we have to vote. So by friendly amendment or by unanimous consent, Senator Rana wants to bring that number down from 12,000 to 9,000.
Wouldn't it be a friendly amendment to?
Oh, sorry, yeah, well, there's no such thing as friendly amendments under Robert's rules. There's just unanimous consent.
But no, just it's a friendly amendment to it is amendment.
That doesn't exist, but fine. Do you want to bring it down to $9,600?
Yes.
All right. So we're back in debate regarding the amendment. This time, instead of 12,000, it's at $9,615. Right? Does anybody would like to be recognized for debate? Is anyone confused as to what's going on? Yeah. We're motioning to amend this original request to $9,650. You can debate whether you want to amend it or not. Yeah.
Okay, so for this group, they need more, so we basically went over that. This organization is going to need more than 8 members because it isn't a conference, it's a competition that requires that extensive large group of people. So they lowered their request to 16 to 25, and then I guess we amended it to 9,615 as we have been doing for all the previous Category B and Category E legislative requests that we've had last week. We brought them down to 60%. This is the 60% number, and I think we should stick with this number and with that on the motion. Previous question.
The previous question has been called. Who needs seconds? All those in favor of calling the previous question. This is on the motion to amend. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Motion passes. So we're voting on the amended amount. We're voting on whether we want to amend or not. All those in favor of approving the amendment to 9,615, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions.
Nay.
Motion passes. All right. So now they're requesting 9,615. Huggins is on. Anybody else for debate? Yeah.
All right, so I just want to start by saying that I agree with this amendment. But I just did want to bring up one point that 2 of the members going are on Senate and they are directly benefiting from this money. And I think it's something that we need to take into consideration if we're going to allow this to happen and allow senators to represent their own respective groups when they're directly benefiting from the money, so we're directly funding them to go to this conference. I think that is something that we need to look into. I don't want to, I know I've spoken up with huge firms but I think it's something that needs to be looked into, and if it's like the request we did last time with the hockey team. It's setting a dangerous precedent, and I just don't feel comfortable with this.
I'm sorry.
I want to say really quick, I agree with that we should cut to 60%, but only
make this trip count and if they only get $9,600. Because if we fund them for $9,600, then they can't go on the trips, that's not enough money for them to support the trip, then that's going to tie up money for other legislative requests. So I'll yield to one of the members of the group.
Anybody be able to answer? Mondo? Can you still go on the trip with $9,615 is the question.
If we do get this request or the amendment request here, we will have to forfeit competition, just to keep that in mind. If the case is that we have to forfeit competition, we will fundraise and we will ask for some of our national sponsors, they can potentially fund it, even though they don't do it for these conferences because there are 73 chapters around the country. However, as I mentioned before, we are finalists in 9 of the 17 awards. We will have to forfeit a few competitions and awards if that answers the question.
You'll still be able to go, you just might not be able to do everything you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay. I apologize.
No. It's a good question. It's just, we won't be able, the main reason to go over there, one, a lot of times you get scholarships and funding, and like I said, like Northwestern Region is a huge national sponsor, they do recruit a lot here. Stuff like that ends up benefiting the university as a whole. And, there's certain things that we can't participate in. Obviously, it has a damper on it. Well, we are willing, and we have to make a sacrifice for it, then we are willing to do it.
Just in the spirit of being fair to all the groups, everyone was cut to 60, but people who requested more than
then what's allowed?
They were reduced down to 60. People who were over the 12,000 got cut completely, and so you answered my question.
No, perfectly understand the same.
Just in regards to Senator Green's comment about conflict of interest, even us, we are all allowed to be part of organizations that are allowed to request money. In regards to that, we should be directly sponsoring it. If you have an organization that you're part of that's going on a trip, talk to a senator. There's a bunch here. Speaker Gottlieb was on a legislative request. He stepped out of the chair and he did not vote. Same way. Ask these guys. They're all senators.
Can you just repeat what you said? What did you say?
No, I'm saying, what I meant is that you guys, as senators, directly sponsoring the legislation that you are benefiting from is unethical. It might even be in the policies that it's against policy to do that. You are supposed to approach the plethora of senators here, including myself, to help get this passed through. Your name should not be author or sponsored of the author, fine, but should not be sponsored of the legislation.
Correct me if I think the issue would be us trying to influence the vote. I think there's been a reason why me and Senator Kershaw have yielded the floor on all the questions in some part to the presidents of PSC, and we are abstaining across the board on any vote related to this legislation. The alternative would be that they would approach another senator and be up there right now, and it would be the same exact situation. The only difference is that we sponsor it, but we're not having any influence on whether it's approved or not. That's up on you guys. That's it. That's the one difference, I guess. If you take offense with us sponsoring it, this was just they happen to know us. It's really what this is all about, I guess. That's it.
Anybody else for debate after Senior Advisor Knockby?
So I know that Senate can basically make their own policies when it comes to funding, but just taking a look back at funding board policies and the recommendations that were given back in December, from my personal experience, but also through what's continuing through this funding board, is that conferences that are not being predominantly, but they do have networking or career advancement or more specific things such as scholarships that was just mentioned. I would like to take that into consideration. That's actually not funded by the funding board policies. That is under Section 3, eligibility and restrictions, 6 L, and so I would like to keep that in your mind here that scholarships are personal items and there are for career advancement and
scholarship, I meant it as, like, the 4 people that are covered, those scholarships, not scholarships for academic reason, but like, my trip was funded because I won the Northeast Regional Public Speaking Competition. That was a scholarship to regional. So I had that covered, not an academic scholarship in regards to that. I apologize if that was confusing anybody. It's not academic scholarship or personal benefit for, like, students to pay financial aid or burst or anything. It's for them to actually try to get sponsored. And we've had members apply for multiple competitions, but they just didn't win because other chapters and other members across the country ended up competing better than they did. So that scholarship wasn't for like academic purposes, it was more for coverage heading out towards the college.
Thank you. Okay, so personally, I think we should give you the 16,000. Senate disagrees with that. Now, we heard the debate on both sides. People were opposed it, agree with it. So basically, I'm going to call the previous question.
Is there a second? The previous question has been called. Violet. All right. All those in favor of calling the previous question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. The question has been called. The question is, motion to fund Pi Sigma Epsilon in the amount of $9,615. All those in favor of funding them in the amount of $9,615, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. The motion passes. $9,615 to Pi Sigma Epsilon. We're working on it.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Next, yeah.
I sent you the document, I don't know when you want to do it.
It was technically first on the list. So do you want to do it now?
We can do it.
All right. Boxing.
That is $7,259.84.
So this is Yukon Boxing Club, and this is similar to all the addendums that we had previously. So this again was a application that was just placed. It was approved by the planning board. Everything was in order. Yeah, this is just a budget. This is not a full application. But the actual is whereas application for spring February submitted by Yukon Boxing Club. We received the opportunity for the application, whereas these applications were not considered by the planning board or used during the review process. He resolved that the conduct will be budgeted with a request of $3,200 for boxing coverage.
Yeah. Motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? Yeah. Give us a round. Questions? Questions? Yeah.
Okay, so this is coming out of the funds we have left, out of the 7,000 we left, this is going, just no debate, no, this amount, it's coming out of 7,000. Just clarification. Yes?
No, this is coming out of the $10,000 lot for exactly this purpose. We still have nothing else.
So this is not coming out of the 7,000 we left?
Correct.
Any other questions? See none. We move into debate. All those, anybody would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of enacting now concerning an addendum to spring 2013 funding, as presented by the chairperson, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Motion passes. An act concerning funding triathlon.
Alright. above-mentioned initiative, the UPenn Triathlon Club. All right, I just want to start out and I say this, I know that number's high and I know we don't have a lot of money left. Can we get the breakdown for there are multiple different things under this trip for the triathlon club. This is including getting to the nationals and then also including their actual registration fees. The important thing to note here is that they need a certain number of students in order to be able to qualify for winning nationals. Like it's not an individual award, it's like their team can win nationals and they have a really good shot of doing it. They just don't have enough people with enough money to go at this point. So, yeah.
bunch of money to keep it.
So you've already used most of the money fundraised. So you didn't anticipate, yeah. Okay. Just making sure everybody.
But as we've done with the past groups of category D applications, we kept to 60%. Your application of 60% would be $2,281. Would it be possible to go on this trip with that amount of money?
Last year, we got, I think, about 60% for flights, and we could possibly get more than
We've done our fundraising for the foreseeable future. We have a Krispy Kreme fundraiser and we fundraise using 5K race. That would depend, who we go depends on the chapter. So I can't answer that.
Any other questions?
All right. So, and I just debate first. All right, debate first. So because we're gonna have to make cuts because we can't fit everybody. That's realistic at this point. And for their travel portion, which is a good, what was it, $3,000. I'm going to amend that.
So total,
Well, we would take it out of the, I was going to amend the travel portion of it.
Registration fees are also, I can't answer this.
typically we should retire application.
Registration is also.
That's why I should
All
recognize.
right. Yeah, no, 60%. That's 60% of their request. Taking this friendly because I did it, so don't be. Just because I think that they have a really good shot at winning it. You know, a lot of them, they do really well races, and they should get the opportunity to win at nationals and go for us. Because nothing was better than having world champions next to our name. So,
Anybody else for debate?
Point of,
It was friendly.
it was friendly, and it was 60%.
yeah, is that 60% of the total?
That's their
or-
total, no, that's their total line number, 6% of that. So,
Anybody who would like to be recognized for debate? Seeing none, we move, okay.
That's fine, I think this is a matter of keeping it the same for each group. They have to complete paperwork, the amendment that it's at right now, would be, the amount of money. I would like to know that, this is kind of what the, legislative request fund is here for things that say, yeah, whatever this, like, project will tell you this is certain, something they did.
Anybody else for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of funding Triathlon Club at the amount of $2,281.08, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions, so majority passes. We're getting an updated total for you now.
$4,978.04.
Dressage.
I mentioned Mark. Let's do this. All right, so I'm up here again for dressage this time. Okay. All right, so after this, no. All right, I'll read it. We'll just bring it up. And after turning emergency planning for the entire dressage team, whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through the funding of undergraduate student initiatives, whereas to get it funded earlier. So this is their advice, she's gonna talk a little bit more. So just to clarify, massage is trying it's just a specific discipline. And as explained, the UMass show was just made available to us. They notified us late because they weren't going to originally have a show. So that's why I couldn't include it on the semester in funding. So that is for our two teams, group people A and B, for the registration fees. And then the saddle plates, it's about $50 just to label the saddles, which you will actually generously funded for a 12th semester. To make sure that no one else uses them, that they remain in good condition, and that we can protect it so we don't have to request any additional equipment, so then we don't have to use any more money.
Is there a second? She motions.
Yeah, motion.
Rana, Rana got the second? All right, questions? Manfredi, post, not confused. You can come up.
So I guess we'll go
Sure.
So typically our office staff requires about 14 days, 14 business days to get paperwork process, check requests, purchase orders set for events and anything going on. March 2nd is this Saturday, so I will just see a table for our office staff to get all the funds and everything to your organization to bill us.
Right, yeah, you asked questions.
Oh, okay.
All right, they had tried to put this through 2 Senates ago, and it was because of, like, mix-up, everything going through, it didn't get put into the Senate. So we had pushed for this. It was originally intended to come to the Senate last time. And I had talked to one of their representatives, and they had said that the UMass show was willing to accept the promise to pay. So that means we can pay afterwards, as long as it's almost like a purchase order, like it's the way they kind of described it to me. Whereas if you give them a promise to pay, and they know you're going to pay them and have this on, then it's just a matter of how long it takes the costs to get that money out to them.
Can I ask, can we defer to John to clarify what comes to pay?
Yeah.
And just sort of how that works.
Yeah.
So basically, for a purchase order, it still takes time to process a purchase order. I'm not sure what the UMass show would accept, but with the fact that it's coming up so quickly, basically what has to happen is the group would either have to promise on their own, so USG would be able to get that promise and pay out, and then USG would be able to process it in time, but they would still be on the hook until USG paperwork. Or there's the other way would be which, since being approved ahead of time, is not, well, it's not something we like to do, it's something we keep.
Anybody for questions except for Senator Manfredi?
Okay, so we heard the triathlon clubs, why they could be covered by club sports, changing rules for music. Wouldn't this also fall under club sports jurisdiction?
Yeah. So the reason it wasn't included on club sports is because it was added, like, not even a month or 2 ago, like, they just added it in, and so club sports doesn't, they have funding for nationals, which they applied for, so they have funding for nationals, but because it wasn't included in their budget or anything else, they don't fund things that aren't nationals. Like, if it wasn't in their original budget, much like us, it doesn't, you can't just come up. So it was the fact that it was last minute, like, they just added it in and kind of put them off because they had already used up their funding for club sports for nationals, and they already had done their budgeting for us and budgeting for club sports. So it just wasn't able to be included.
Yeah.
What category is this?
I think registration fees are set to so
Settlements or?
satellites should be funded in full because we already paid for those things, we need to label them as our property. So,
Questions?
wait.
she's gonna just.
Self-friendly amendment. I'm going to take 60% of that number of the registration fees, which is the money. 60%, cutting at 60% brings it down to $223.80. If I did my math
The
correctly.
total after taking 60% off registration fees, the total, the cut registration fees and sell thing.
Cut to
$220.80.
Okay, so $223.80. Yeah, so that's, and so they're already paying for transportation to and from on their own, so self-friendly amendment.
John, and then anybody else for debate?
The planning board reviewed this request, the paperwork is complete, and again, it's already been amended to the 60%. So, and again, since this is something that they haven't anticipated, this is what the reserve fund has intended to be when this was funded.
Anybody else for debate? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of funding dressage at $223.80, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Passes. Ski team? Yeah.
All right, this is an act concerning emergency funding for UConn men's ski team and UConn women's ski team. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the experience of the student body through funding of the undergraduate student initiative. Whereas the UConn men's ski team and women's ski team have requested funding for their initiative for hotels and rental vans necessary for races as described in the attached document. Whereas the above-mentioned initiative is a high likelihood of success and bears clear merit to student bodies, therefore be it resolved that the undergraduate student government allocate $1,304.15 to the above-mentioned initiatives of UConn's men's ski team and women's ski team. Basically, the men's and women's ski teams are asking for funding for their second night of hotels for 3 races during the semester. They're asking for 60% of hotel costs, which totals to $770.63 for women and $553.53 for men, for a grand total of $1,304.16. They're filing for legislation because they have always received funding for 2 nights of lodging in the past, and only did not this year due to an error in paperwork and in not doubling the hotel cost for 2 nights stay. Thus, they got 60% of funding for half of their total hotel cost. So, all right.
Is there a second? Yeah. All right. Are there any questions regarding the motion, which is the fund, as you can see? Yeah.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. So was the error on their part when they were filing paperwork, or was the error on funding board's end?
The error was on the part of the ski team, just an accident in the paperwork.
Yeah, Jones.
So you mentioned that originally they were funded for half of their costs in the normal funding period. Would they be returning that if they were funded for the full cost? Or is this just the part that's nothing?
They were already funded for half of their hotel costs. They're looking for the second half of the hotel costs, which they only did not get because of this secondary.
Yeah.
How many people were there?
Jen, you want to come in?
I was wondering if I had a question. We got 60% of the one night, so that's 60% of 50%. But in the past, when I requested the funding, it said hotels for 2 nights, but then the number only said 1. So USG thought that they were initially giving us 2 nights of funding, which they have for the past 6 years, but the numbers didn't come out correctly. And then in regards to your question, there's 11 women and 12 men. We have 3 races, 2 of them in New York and white races.
Yeah. Question? Yep, and then food groups.
What, have all these trips already been completed?
They were, and I did request from the board with advertising.
Yes. Williams?
My question is similar to John's. So these trips have already happened. When did you apply for the funding for them? Did you apply to the normal appointment or was it through a legislative request?
I applied for all of this in November, and then, I had to wait until January 7th, I believe, it was the first that we had, of this semester, and that's when I was in the process of requesting to fix this year.
Any other questions? All right, we move into debate. Thank you, guys. Anybody would like to direct us to debate? Williams? No? Rebecca?
I think we're, good. I think we should pull up. Okay. I think we should fund them the full amount. This is one sports organization that for the second year in a row has won sportsmanship award, and unlike other, basketball and football and other sports, we have kids like getting arrested or doing stupid stuff. This is one organization that always stood up for the values that UConn wants to do. So I think we should support them and what they want to do and keep representing us the best we could possibly do here.
All right, guys. I don't think we should fund them. Their extra night. We had already almost started a bad precedent 2 weeks ago, funding groups at events that have already occurred. We don't fix other people's mistakes. We're here to get emergency money out of the past 2 requests, not for something that someone screwed up on a piece of paper.
Anybody else for debate?
Great. So my train of thought kind of goes along with that. We talked pretty extensively about this last night about not letting things that have already happened and that people make mistakes, but it wasn't our mistake. So we can't go back and fix every single group that has a problem or messes up because we wouldn't have any money left. And it's just a bad precedent to set because then groups can come back with, they can spend extra money while they're on a trip and then say, oh, well, we forgot to apply for it. And it just sets a really bad precedent. And as much as I know it's terrible, trust me, I've been there, but it sets a really bad precedent for us and it gets us into a really bad habit of just allowing groups to come to us with whatever they felt like they need to spend while on a trip. And I don't think that's what these legislative requests are for. This is for future events that were unforeseen, not something that they decided they needed or accidentally messed up on.
Who's next? Anybody else for debate?
I would say first, I agree with Senator Beck that we should fund them their full amount. I would say we don't make up for other people's mistakes, but we kind of don't make up for our own. People make mistakes. We lost an emergency funding application, and what do we do with that? We're actually charged with that responsibility. This group made a simple error that they hadn't made in 6 years' time, and it's just. We agreed last Senate, if you're going to say with the precedent we set, then we did set it last Senate. So we should be following the precedent we set, that if this group, it's a small error that they made that they now are very much hurting because of. And we have the opportunity to alleviate that. And it's not like we have dozens and dozens of applications coming in for us retroactively funding them. We have money now. We have one group asking for money because they made a simple error. That is what an emergency funding is. There is no definition that we have, well, there's some definition, but that we have set for what our funding requests are for. So I think we should definitely absolutely.
Anybody else for debate?
I would like you to let John turn to the agenda first.
Yeah, I would just like to do funding board, review all the paperwork, it's complete. I just like to do this, since I'm doing for one component of every group. It's complete, and if the process had come before the planning board after the event, we probably wouldn't have funded it, but
these applications. You got an award, hats off to you, you're bringing a lot of stuff to the table. But this is for us to see the financials, if we can, per our policy, fund them. If the money was already paid, and now they're asking for reimbursement, which this is essentially reimbursement. Not our fault. If the funding board makes a mistake in the WU's application, they come back with an addendum and they fix their mistakes. We're not fixing other people's mistakes, we have to fix ours. It's harsh, it sucks. I wouldn't want to be this. Did we win? Hi. Okay, we're tied, we're 2 seconds left.
Anybody else for debate?
You should do it.
Yeah. Should I pull it up on you? Is that easier?
No, just to kind of go along with the same thought, dangerous precedent, we've almost said, if we do this tonight, that solidifies it, and we're gonna get more groups coming here. This is already 2 in 2 weeks that we're getting a retroactive thing. And when we make mistakes, we fix it, and I would expect groups, when they make mistakes, to do their best to fix it. That's not on us to kind of be the fairy godmother and fix all the problems. And that sounds really harsh, but if I made a mistake, like, it's up to me to fix it personally. And so I'm suggesting that we don't fund this request. We're gonna fund it at 0, and I'm gonna call the previous question.
Any second? Sergeant, all those in favor of calling the previous question, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions? The question has been called. The question is to fund UConn ski team in the order of $1,304.16. Did I read that correctly? All those in favor of funding this organization, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions?
Nay.
The motion carries.
Cares we're in overtime.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. Since we are in session, should we focus our full attention towards the legislation at hand? I know we are students and we have great pride in our sports. Please direct your full attention to the order.
How about this? Syed, can you give us an update on what's going on? Or
We're in overtime.
We're in overtime. All right, so now let's move on to the next.
Point of order, we're voting on thousands of dollars for student groups and we're watching a freaking basketball game. This is nonsense that we are allowed to do that. I'm just saying. Neil can.
We can.
Yes, I'm aware, but we're watching on basketball while voting on thousands of dollars for student groups.
Let's try and focus our attention on the matter at hand. All right? Every member of this organization. All right. Next, we move to Medical Humanitarian Society. Who are they?
How's everybody doing? We're going to try and go through this fast. An act concerning emergency funding for UConn Medical Humanitarian Society. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the academic and cultural experiences of the student body through the funding of undergraduate student initiatives. Whereas the UConn Medical Humanitarian Society has requested funding for their initiative to attend the Global Health and Innovation Conference in New Haven, Connecticut, as described in the attached document. Whereas the UConn Medical Humanitarian Society has shown enduring success in its working at the university by promoting the pillars of education, service, and community improvement. Whereas the UConn Medical Humanitarian Society has brought both local and national attention and prestige to the university through its sustained work in underprivileged populations. Whereas the participation of UConn Medical Humanitarian Society in its initiative will allow members to learn of recent initiatives in the global health field in an effort to strengthen its impact. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government allocate no more than $1,429.90 for the above-mentioned initiative of the UConn Medical Humanitarian Society.
Mr. Speaker, if I may, yield all questions to the floor of Senior Counsel Syed.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. And motion followed.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second? All questions will be answered by Senior Advisor Nafi. Any questions on the funding?
Can we get the
Yeah.
website back
So basically, to avoid any conflict of interest, since I am in USG and I am in the group, this is our secretary, Alex. So for the most part, I'm going to yield for him to answer any questions.
Yeah, questions? Yeah.
How much are the consumers paying out of pocket currently at this amount?
So we would be paying 70 per person, if 60% were funded.
Of this number? So if that's 6%, we each pay $70.
Anybody else for questions? Seeing none, we move into,
Just
gotta do it at the last.
I guess I won't do there, you guys, so this is somewhere else, correct? So is this taking into account reductions due to travel policy? Yeah, well, I'm just.
Initially, the funds that we are requesting is not with, the funding policy is 60%.
The $70 he was talking about, that was, we anticipate 40% cuts. So that's a 70%.
Which have not been done.
Yes. They expect cuts.
Any other questions? Moving to debate. Yeah, you want to just switch on it? Can you just amend it?
Alright, motion to amend to $857.
Motion, just do it. Can we?
By unanimous consent, I'd like to change the legislation to $857.94.
It's like a sword.
All the paperwork is in order for this group. They did not realize they would have the opportunity to do this conference during the normal budgeting period, which is why they're flying through this legislative process and it's meant to be enough money for the budget. And we would probably categorize as a new category D since they are applying.
Anybody else for debate? You guys can sit down. Anybody else for debate? Seeing none, move to a vote. All those in favor of funding Medical Humanitarian Society in the amount of $857.94, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions, passes. Next, we move. All right, next we move to discussion. Anybody for discussion? Yeah, and then you.
Getting outside of between, at least more than 3 legislators per Senate. Senates are running long. We need to streamline this. When we come up, I think we should follow a certain process where we explain the financials. We try and spend less time on the accolades of the group and what they stand for and what the purpose is and focus more on policy. We can fund what we can based on paperwork, not on what we believe or what we think is right. That's something that has to be kept out of it. As senators, we're sponsor the legislation, not the idealism. If you think it should be passed, fine. But you're not here to make sure it's passed. You're here to make sure it's done in a fair process. If you feel strongly about it, good for you. But you need to do your job, not your personal preference, your job.
Who did I say yes to next? Yeah, Violet, and then me, and then Alvarez, and then Judy. You want to just clarify? I can think myself out. You're going to respond to that?
Alright, well, I'm just gonna go forward and say things. Okay, so,
Guys, can you come up for discussion? Just
great, I totally agree with you. So, what we're going to do then is that everybody, I want to see most people, everyone who make it at caucus next week, she's going to let us know when and where it is. And we're going to eke out a way to do this, and we're going to do it right. So, as to everybody knows what's going on, everybody knows the system, we'll get it streamlined. So then no one can complain about it anymore. Excellent. The other thing, please keep in mind, you voted on the stop last semester, personal laptops are not allowed open during meetings. That, I think that, bearing that in mind, and tell people who I think should have them, mainly the funding board chair, and the person taking notes. Everyone else, I mean, if you have a really, really pressing reason to have it open, bring the shit. Because honestly, that's the only, and if it's just okay, then yeah, that's fine, that's okay. But he really should be notified if you need your laptop open for some reason. That's it. You know, good job working out all the details today. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, something.
All right, I just wanted to say that I actually very much disagree with the idea that we're going off purely policy. I think we should be talking about the merits of groups. I think we should be saying, hey, this contributes a lot to UConn beyond the monetary side. We're elected for our judgments as well. That's why it's not just somebody leading off if they match up their policies. It's a bunch of people in a room discussing whether or not we should fund a group. And we should talk about the merits of it. We should spend time actually thinking about what we are funding.
Okay, so my thing is just about sponsoring legislation. I think that senators should kind of take a look at their own like personal ethics. And if you're a member of a group, like I'm a member of a couple of church organizations, and I'm never going to sponsor their legislation. I don't think that's why. I don't think that should happen. I think that we should kind of come together as a mutual agreement that if you're a member of a church organization, you shouldn't be sponsoring their legislation. It's their responsibility to go find other senators. I mean, I know I'm a CFO, but I make sure everyone else in my organization is the one reaching out to other senators because it's a conflict of interest if I do it. So I think it should just, I mean, we can talk more about it at caucus, kind of come to like a mutual agreement about it, maybe ask something later, but just food for thought.
I just want to say that compared to what it was like last time with the legislative request, I thought you guys did a great job. You were discussing it both on the merits and both on the paperwork and the policies and what you thought they would contribute to UConn, which is, you know, all okay in my book, and I think that's what you guys weren't about discussing it the right way. It didn't get rowdy or anything. And I think you guys did a great job. And going forward, I think it's important that Senate comes up with the way they want to discuss these things. Funding board will obviously do the best that it can to present these things in a clear way, and to make sure that only complete requests of paperwork goes made to the Senate. With the new policies, that's what we're going to be doing. We'll only be reviewing things. We're only bringing things to the Senate that meets all the policy requirements. And I think with that, Senate can definitely come up with a way to help us go a little bit faster through this.
We'll talk more in the coming weeks about funding. I just want to say that it's kind of silly if the person who's writing the legislation then says, oh, well, this is category D, so let me just change it now. I mean, might as well just come, with it, change. You know what I mean? And when you're explaining it, just say, I don't know, that was just a pet peeve. It's not like a big deal. I'm just saying, and I know we're all trying to get 100% funded, but you know what I mean? We'll talk about it more. I understand what the spirit of why we do it this way. But anyway, anybody else for discussion? Yeah, from your seat. That's fine.
Okay. I just want to say I totally agree with Kevin that we do need to think about the merits of the groups in policy. Both is important. That's the way to sort of render a proper decision. I know me personally, when I'm making decisions, I do use my own personal judgments because I think it shapes us and helps us make informed decisions. Also, just as far as the use of laptops, because I'll personally admit it, I was using my laptop, but it was for a good reason, but I was also actively engaged in what was going on. So as long as the speaker doesn't have an issue with it, I don't really think it's anyone's business.
Yeah.
For discussion?
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about putting in your personal opinion into voting or even in debate is remember you're not here to represent your own personal opinion. You were all voted here by a constituency. You need to take into consideration how your constituents would feel about voting a certain way, not your personal opinions. And that can only really be gathered by an active Senate across campus by talking to your constituents, figuring out where they stand on certain issues. And in all honesty, it'd be great if in the future we could get these pieces of legislation out beforehand so that senators can go and talk to their constituents about how they feel about certain issues like these. That would be, in my mind, and how it's always been in the past, or how it should have been, an ideal Senate and how senators are working for their constituents, not the other way around.
Yeah.
I just want to make a quick clarification. Laptop use is prohibited in our code of conduct. It's not about whether or not we should use our discretion if we think we can multitask. It's against the rules.
Dan?
Sergeant Docs.
Well, I agree. That being said, it is up to discretion of the speaker as it states in the stop.
Okay.
So, just put a bunch of
Just one quick thing, I should update as well over there. One thing that you guys will have to start doing is figuring out how to say no and when to say no. I know we did it once tonight, but I'll do what I can, but I assure you that there will be not anywhere close to the